Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Space for today, June 25th, 2019. I am your host for the day, Dr. Pamela Gay, and I am here to put science in your brains. Now, I want to remind all of you that if you ever miss one of these episodes live, we archive everything over on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube right now, I want to remind all of you that we do this live most Mondays through Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, that's 6 p.m. London time. We will be taking the week of 4th of July off. That's next week, so you're on your own. But there's nothing really tremendous scheduled that we can't talk about ahead of time. So, speaking of things to talk about, it's a weird day in space science, and the first story I have to talk about is one of how more people's jobs are getting taken over by the machines. I, for one, welcome our future robot overlords. But this news may disrupt how a lot of researchers are currently doing their science. In a press release coming to us from the Southwest Research Institute up in Colorado, planetary astrophysicist Dr. Natalie Henkel has announced that she's identified with her team 360 stars that potentially are host to massive planets. Planets like our own Jupiter and Saturn. This work was done by training a machine learning algorithm using stars that had already been investigated for planets in the Hypatia star catalog. They trained the machine learning system to know, well, these already explored stars, we know they have no planets. These over here, we know they do have planets. And based on the stellar properties, those things about the star that we're able to measure, they went through the system with their machine learning algorithm and identified all the places of high probability. She estimates 90% probability of having planets. Now, we just need to go back and follow up on all of these results that somewhat resemble a recommended viewing algorithm from Netflix gone wild. Now, we just need to get these algorithms operating the controls, writing the telescope proposals. I can speak, I really can. We need to get these machine learning algorithms operating the telescopes and writing the telescope proposals, and the rest of us can just sit back and focus on doing the science with all of the results. Now, in other news for the day, I would like to remind all of you that next week on July 2nd, there is going to be a total eclipse of the sun. This will occur, on July 2nd for everyone, but only some of you will get to view it. For most of us, this day is going to get marked by no appearance of the moon. But if you happen to be on a cruise ship out in the South Pacific or located somewhere in South America for whatever reason, you have the ability to look up and see a notch taken out of the sun, or maybe even the sun just turned into a big black dot hanging out in the sky. This is an event that will be live streamed by numerous sources, so celebrate the new moon by going outside and observing some dark objects in the sky, or faint objects in the sky. And if you can, get outside, look up, and see a bite taken out of the sun. Now, as generally happens, this solar eclipse is partnered with a lunar eclipse. Unfortunately, this is only a partial lunar eclipse, which means the moon won't totally turn red, but rather a section of it will fall into the darker part of the Earth's shadow, the umbra. This will be visible to those of you who are in Africa, Southern Europe, and parts of South Asia. Depending on where you are time zone wise, this will occur on July 16th or 17th. And speaking of lunar eclipses, in today's news of Elon, why? I feel required to remind everyone that not all worlds that are red are Mars. In this tweet that Elon Musk made on June 23rd, the SpaceX CEO grabbed artwork from the internet that showed an eclipse of the moon, and not, as he probably thought, the red planet Mars. This artwork has been traced back to Twitter user DutyWill2, who tweeted at Elon Musk in January of this year. This image is actually a parody of SpaceX's own Occupy Mars campaign. It is still unclear who took the solar eclipse image that is shown in this artwork. So 2 lessons to learn out of this. Always attribute your art to proper sources. And if your company has an art department, go to their website to grab your images. Yeah. That's a lunar eclipse. Okay, in other SpaceX news, last night SpaceX once again successfully launched their Falcon Heavy. I'm going to leave most of the story to Annie, who will be covering tomorrow's Daily Space, as she does almost every Wednesday. There is, however, one amusing highlight I would like to bring up. The modified yacht that they're using to try and catch the nose cone fairings that protect the spacecraft on launch, well, previously that modified yacht had been called Mr. Steven. Well, last night she flew out with sailed out with a new name. Mr. Steven is now Miss Tree. With this new set of pronouns, well, Miss Tree went on to catch herself a fairing that came down from last night's space launch. I see 2 lessons in this. The first one is, if you want to catch a fairing, catch like a girl. The second one is, everyone does better when you use the proper set of pronouns. Okay, so that really winds up the news I have for today. There are exciting news stories coming later this week that I already see in embargoed press releases, but all I can tell you is stay tuned. For the rest of the week, well, Annie will be bringing you the news tomorrow, and if the internet allows, I will be working to stream to you from Joshua Tree and the Merrimont Indian Wells Resort in California later this week, where I will be with some of you for the All Stars Star Party. I, for one, plan to hug a tree and photograph as many star trails as I can before the Starlink takes over the sky. So stay tuned. This is going to be a wild week. Next week, I will be with friend of the show, David Joseph Wesley, out in California, enjoying a bit of vacation. Annie's going to be off having her own adventures, which she'll tell you about tomorrow. And I hope all of you too enjoy, well, American Independence Day, Canadian Independence Day on July 1st, and the summer, the eclipse, and everything else that may be going on in your world. I will now stick around to take your questions, and while you type those in, I'm going to remind you to please at CosmoQuestX so I can better find your questions in the chat. While you type them in, I just want to say this is a production of the Planetary Science Institute. That's our logo right there, working in collaboration with Youngstown State University. We are brought to you by you. Your generous financial contributions allow us to, well, pay Annie a living wage, allow me to keep all of our servers and software going. And we are here thanks to you and your bits, your subs, your Patreon donations. And we are a 501c3, so those contributions are tax deductible where the law allows. If you follow us on Patreon, as you all should, patreon.com/CosmoQuestX, you will get our planned transcripts of each episode in your inbox when our shows go up. Well, actually a few hours later. So if you want to, well, get updated on what I plan to say and don't actually end up saying, this is your chance. Follow us over on patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. Okay, I'm now going to scroll back in the chat and find everything you had to ask and give a bunch of thanks. The first thank you I would like to give is to DPI 209, who's been subscribing for 13 months through Amazon Prime. Thank you so much. Fenring has a fabulously weird combination of emotes that, if you can scroll back to, is worth scrolling back to. We have lots of discussions on the temperatures. It's in the mid-20s Celsius, high 70s here. It's a beautiful day. Still no air conditioning, just a ceiling fan. Scrolling for questions. Fenring writes, not all worlds that are red are Mars, but most probably are. Elon Musk. Yeah, if only. So I'm gonna let you all in on a not so secret. I am totally dyslexic, like legit, caused me to get bad grades in chemistry, dyslexic. And I'm a Harry Potter fan. And I'm staying with people whose last name is Wesley next week. But I keep reading it as Weasley, even though that's not what it actually says. But the idea that I'm going to the Weasley house next week is actually just as exciting as going to the Wesley house, and I'm not sure which is more magical. Anyways, continuing on through the chat, Revs Matt writes, July 1 is not Canadian Independence Day, but is Canada Day. I'm sorry. And I think the spirit of the thing is respected here. Yes. We totally respect Canada Day. I'm sorry that I inadvertently renamed it. I should do better. Yeah. So Larry is asking, that algorithm, what indicates that a star has planets? So the thing about machine learning algorithms is we don't always know what it is that they're queuing in on to say this has a planet, this doesn't. It's that magical combination of what it's made of, what temperature it is, that combination of factors the algorithm is zooming in on and saying, yes, this is the place to look. Now, we know from past research that was done more by hand by humans that the composition of a star is in many ways the most important thing. If you don't have the atoms and molecules that are needed to build planets, you're not going to get planets. So that is pretty much where we need to look. So Hanny's Vorverb asks, how much money is Elon saving with Miss T's catch? So there's two ways to read that. One is women are paid less than men, and the other one is saving money from catching the spacecraft. I'm going to assume that you mean by catching the fairing to reuse it. We don't know yet. What they don't know and what they're going to find out from this particular, successful catch is how easy is it to reuse a fairing that hasn't been dunked in salt water. We know salt water is corrosive. This has made past fairings impossible to use. What we don't know is what is the damage that occurs from passing through the atmosphere alone. This will give us a chance, and time will tell. We're still doing the assessment. Now, for those of you wondering why Mr. Steven became Miss Tree, it's actually due in large part to a new company is owner of the spacecraft. SpaceX has, according to a Teslarati article, sold or seen the company that was previously owning and leasing to it the yacht that it uses to catch this and many of its other seafaring vessels. That company was bought by a new company, so the new company, in the process of rebuilding Mr. Steven, who had taken on a fair bit of damage, just renamed Mr. Steven Miss Tree. So we have new ownership, new boom arms, and a new, successful catch. So stay tuned. We'll find out more. I'm sure that will be information shared since it's of interest to the stockholders. So Hanny goes on to ask, how long will it take for LightSail 2 to know if it is functioning properly? That is a question for Annie tomorrow. And I bet that if you go over to the Planetary Society blog, they'll also be able to tell you. And we have the chat singing "O Canada," which is actually a really awesome song. If any of you ever go to Disney World and Epcot Center, the Canada Pavilion is actually one of the best parts of Epcot Center, and you will get to hear a fabulous rendition of that song while surrounded by 360 degrees of amazing imagery. So Planetary Pam is reminding us that LightSail 2 has 7 days before deployment. So at least 7 days. How long after that, I don't know. Different spacecraft take different amounts of time to deploy all their bits and pieces. I am totally biased by my Canadian husband, but I would have told you that back in high school after going to Epcot Center for the first time. Okay. Is that really all we've got for today? That was a short episode. I may have had too much coffee. Henny, I am totally surrounded by Canadians. I'm not quite sure how this happened. My dissertation advisor was Canadian. My first college student that I had working for me was Canadian. My husband is Canadian. So many of you are Canadian. My co-host Fraser Kane is Canadian. It's a plot. Yes, Trekker Kev, it is a plot. And it's actually not too surprising. Canada, for all of its low population, actually has one of the highest rates of astronomy output in the world. If you look at how many citations papers get, Canadian papers are sitting at the top, nice and pretty, being beautifully cited for their beautiful research. So, as an astronomer, I think it was just a matter of time before I found myself saying, "Oh, Canada." Okay, I am living right. Yes, Larry, I am living right. So I'm not sure what else to say. So I'm going to look to see who is available to raid while you maybe ask some more questions. So Henny is asking, do Canadians do astronomy education different or better than America? Well, the Canadian school systems are radically different than American school systems. And they do get better science outcomes. But at the university level, I think we're all using the same tools and books, but the funding structure is different in the different nations. Thank you for the sub, Trekker Kev. Thank you. That's 5 months in a row. Thank you. So some of the leading astronomy education researchers have been in Canada. Some of the coolest museums and observatories are in Canada. David Dunlop Observatory now has a great visitor center and also is a place where I got a ton of the data that from their archives that I've used for my research. Yeah, it's a great place. They do great work. And you end up with less debt for being educated. That is true, Planetary Pan. That is bitterly true. America, you will be voting, and your vote matters. This is how we are going to end up, perhaps even with student debt relief. And as someone who will be paying $250 a month for the rest of my life, yeah, debt relief would be nice. It would be nice. Okay. I'm not seeing a lot of people streaming today. I guess everyone went to bed. Chronoglide is streaming watchmaking, however. So anyone have any preferences on what to watch? Hey, Bill Nash! I think I'm going to be seeing you in a couple of days, and I'm hoping to get some camera pointers from you if I can impose, and I'm going to impose. I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. Yay, you'll help. Yeah, I'm going to be packing camera gear today, so if you follow me on Instagram, I'm Starstrider, and I am so totally going to be packing out pictures of the crazy Tetris that is going to be happening. There is like no one on the educational side of things streaming today. This is weird. Okay, so I'm totally going to sub over. So I occasionally do the 8-bit I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied today. I still sometimes do the 8-bit Star Strider. I just tend to get distracted more. So I will be trying. So I see folks asking, when will I arrive at Joshua Tree? So I and Skylius and John Michael Gauthier will all be arriving at the airport a little bit later than when the main bus leaves. So we'll be leaving the airport at 1:30 p.m. Tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow. And hopefully arriving 2.5 hours later. I'm sure I will be tweeting and Instagramming our adventures. EJ is working on his truck. Okay. LA traffic permitting. Yeah, Bill Nash, that is exactly what I'm worried about. I am so not a fan of Los Angeles traffic. Hail Sagan. And everyone else's catchphrases. Yeah, we don't really have a catchphrase except of the moment, and our catchphrase of the moment is please mark rocks. Rocks. Bennu. Mark rocks. That's not really a catchphrase. Mark rocks, though. So please, if you have time and you don't know what else to do with your day, we need you. Every image has to be marked by 15 different people, and all of you are needed if we're going to get through all these images. Please, yes, Bennu does rock. Please, please, please recruit in as many people as you can to help us out. Okay, 1,850 images completed. Over 2,000 left to go, guys. Over 2,000 left to go. There will be rock marking parties at Joshua Tree. So please, we have until July 10th. We're no longer on schedule to complete this. Help. Help. Okay. I'm going to go off, work on packing. Yeah. I will see some of you tomorrow night. And I will see hopefully all of you back here on Thursday for the Daily Space. This is a production of the Planetary Science Institute, working in collaboration with Youngstown State University. We are brought to you by you. If you really like us, put a bid on us, or a few, or many. Your subs, your bits, your Patreon patronage. That pays our bills, and we are so grateful for everything you do. Now, if you can't make a financial contribution, I totally get it. There's still a lot of ways you can help us out. Go mark rocks. Right now, that's the most important thing you can do to help us out, is to show the world we can do science. So go mark a rock, please. And if you can't, donate. Does that sound fair? Anyways, we are brought to you by you. Thank you for everything that you do. And wherever you are in the world, we all share one sky. And you can go outside, and if it's dark, look up. And next week, there's a solar eclipse, which means some of you can go out during the day and look up and see some stars. So wherever you are in the world, have a fabulous morning, evening. Oh my goodness, Bill Nash. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all those bits. Thank you. You took away my stream of thought in a very good way. Yay. So wherever you are in the world, thank you, Trekker Kev. You're all just trying to see how much you can distract me. I'm okay with this. Anyways, I'm going to have my entire streaming setup with me in Joshua Tree. I will be hugging a tree. Come here. I have a dog. Hi. Say hello. Say hello. He's not going to be at Joshua Tree. Wherever you are in the world, have a fabulous morning, evening, afternoon, and if the weather allows, get outside and look up. Bye-bye.